Committee meeting.
Our team spends countless hours in meetings with elected officials and partners and stakeholders to advocate for our continued funding. I'm pleased to share that full funding Calbright was included in the California state budget for the fiscal year that begins in July. And each year, what I can tell you is our community of supporters grows and evolves as an institution, while opposition remains static and continually out of touch with the lived experiences of adult learners here in California and across the country. I'd like to extend a heartfelt thanks to those in Sacramento and throughout the state who understand the value of Calbright and what it brings to the community college system. And special thanks to Jenny Johnson and our government relations team, which continues to lead our advocacy efforts. This is an exhausting endeavor each year, and no other district faces it. And it's an exercise that I hope can shift gradually towards one more focused on partnership in the years to come. As evidence of our ability to multitask, last week I had the opportunity to discuss Calbright's progress on the national stage at the annual Jobs for the Future conference. It's a gathering of business and education leaders that are focused on solving the disconnect between education and industry and bridging the accessibility gap in our economy. Amidst much discussion about the advancement of AI and automation and new technologies, continued economic uncertainty, I shared our uniquely human and equity-centered perspective, which is continually an afterthought in too many parts of higher education. In face of a rapidly evolving society, perhaps the greatest significance of Calbright's work is that we continually innovate, and we're really equipping students with the skills that are increasingly durable, that drive value, not just for students, but employers as well. It won't be enough for graduates of workforce training programs to know how to perform a single discrete task, and instead, they need to be prepared to enter jobs that stretch across sectors and industries and that can carry flexibility to shift as the work and the nature of work changes. As a part of this focus today, we're bringing two items to the board, two new course outlines of records. And if approved, these programs, 3D animation, game design, and entrepreneurship, fulfill Calbright's legislative mandate and to design and validate 16 programs by the end of the current fiscal year. We have 3 new programs in the queue that we anticipate launching in the fall and expect new program launches and partnerships to drive growth and development in the years ahead. We recently surpassed a student body of 2,800, and I expect we'll reach 3,000 students later this summer, with growth steadily increasing to the end of the next fiscal year. And as I'll discuss in meetings later this summer, what's really important is that we'll continue to make notable progress nurturing student success as we test, iterate, and then also question and implement improvements that enhance our operations and do it in real time. We're turning a corner and seeing the effects of works from across the college. And while this fiscal year was by far our best, I think it will live in the shadow of next year's successes. So I'd like to thank President Costa and the Americans.
Thank you so much. I'd also like the board liaison to note that Trustee Haynes is with us now for the record.
Sorry,
that's okay. We had a busy day. Normally I would wait for you, but we have a full day today. With that, we will now move the board into closed session. We have one item on our closed session agenda for today, a public employee performance evaluation for the president and chief executive officer. Is there any public comment on our closed session item?
There is no public comment, President Costa.
Great. With that, we're anticipating our closed session will last about an hour, at which point we will reconvene in open session. Thank you so much. Good afternoon. We're just back on closed session. No portable minutes. All right, thank you. All right. Great. Because there was a little bit of audio difficulty, I'll just say we are back. We are reconvening from closed session, and the board has no reportable items. With that, we are now going to move on to the consent agenda. Do any trustees wish to remove an item from the consent agenda for discussion or separate votes?
I move consent.
I have a motion.
I would like to remove item 3.4 from the consent agenda.
Okay. I think we need a motion to do that.
I will adjust my motion to move consent with the removal of 3.4. Is that for discussion?
Yes, please.
For discussion.
Okay, so colleagues, we have an action on the floor. Do I have a second?
Second.
Okay, second from Rawlings. So the action before us is to remove item 3.4 adjunct faculty salary schedule for discussion. With that, please call the roll.
Hildegard Aguinaldo.
Aye.
Amy Costa.
Aye.
Tom Epstein.
Aye.
Pam Haynes.
Aye.
Joanna Grande.
Aye.
Bill Rawlings.
Aye.
Motion carries, President Costa.
Great, thank you. I would like to ask my colleagues to put forward a motion to move the remaining items on the consent agenda, and then we will go back to 3.4 for discussion. Does anybody have a motion to move items 3.1, 3.2, and 3.3?
So moved.
Second.
And a second. Can you please call the roll?
Hildegard Aguinaldo.
Aye.
Amy Costa.
Aye.
Tom Epstein.
Aye.
Pam Haynes. Joanna Grande.
Aye.
Bill Rawlings.
Aye.
Motion carries, President Costa.
Great. Okay, with that, fun parliamentary procedure, we now have item 3.4 before us for discussion. So, Trustee Grundy, did you have a question or comment on that?
Yes, please. And thank you very much, President Costa. I don't know if I should direct this particular question to Joseph Grimgardner, but I will, only because his name is on the recommended by. As I was looking at the adjunct salary schedule, attachment A, I am just wondering why it doesn't include any particular incentive for faculty to go above the minimum requirements in terms of education, especially with the number of our courses that are career technical education. A typical minimum qualification might be an associate degree in 6 years or a bachelor's degree in 3 years. However, there are many career technical education faculty that go above those minimums, and they pursue additional postgraduate study or even master's and doctorate degrees. However, it's not included in attachment A, and I was just wondering if there might be a way to either remedy it or if there may have been a rationale behind its omission.
Okay, I'm here if you would like me to address that. Okay, so when the salary schedule was drafted, it was meant to address some of those things, because as you look at, there's a schedule A, B, and a C. And C does talk about, when C, the higher rate does provide additional pay for people with more experience and or licensure and or additional experience with their adult learners. But the positions are geared towards, as a beginning point, geared towards meeting the needs of students as well as the unique environment that our adjunct faculty work in. Some of these positions in the past have been contractors, which were just a flat rate of pay. And this tiered model, it actually pays well compared to comparables in other community colleges. And so the intent was that the experience in the field was the highest value, certainly for us. And the more experience, the higher the rate of pay. Now, this is something, again, we can address moving forward in future years as we become, as we have some longevity with our faculty and our adjunct faculty as well.
Thank you for the response.
I also realized I was remiss in the first couple of, Pam's telling me she should take them. I did not request, and I will now, public comment on the consent agenda items 3.1, 3.2, and 3.3. Is there any public comment on those items?
There is no public comment, President Costa.
Is there any public comment on item 3.4?
There is no public comment, President Costa.
Great. Colleagues, is there any other discussion on item 3.4 amongst the trustees? Okay, with that, I'm going to entertain a motion in a second on the item.
Move approval.
Second.
All right, with that, can you please call the roll?
Hildegard Aguinaldo.
Aye.
Amy Costa.
Aye.
Tom Epstein. Pam Haynes. Delina Grande.
Hi.
Bill Rawlings.
Aye.
Motion carries, President Costa.
Thank you so much. I do have a note on the order of our agenda, which is it's kind of an order of operations things, which we're actually, before we start our action agenda topics, we're going to hear item 5.3, which is currently agendized in the information and reports items. And in part, it's because it has some relation to the course outlined of records we will be hearing. So with that, I am going to ask for the presenters on item 5.3.
All right, nice to semi-see everybody today. You're very small, so I don't have an opportunity to see you. But President Costa, Vice President Aguinaldo, and members of the board, I am here to share some labor market insights regarding our entrepreneurship program, and then we'll segue into the presentation of the course outlines. All right, so next slide, please. Perfect. So when identifying any new program, Calvite's workforce and strategy team starts with the end in mind. And this means really concerning what are the durable and core skills needed for employees to thrive in the workforce. The entrepreneurship program is no exception. As many as you may have recently seen in several articles and news articles, the shifting workforce landscape, where employers are really seeking not only flexibility in the workforce, but many are seeking to become freelancers or independent contractors, as it gives individuals more control over their work schedules and their earnings. And this shift is being seen across several industries, including healthcare, computer technology, media and design, and business. And so when doing the labor market analysis, the workforce team took a slightly different approach, and they really searched for job postings that included entrepreneurship or entrepreneurial leadership skills. Next slide, please. And as you can see from the data that was obtained, there are several different areas, and these are the job postings, unique job postings associated with these various opportunities across several workforce disciplines with those kind of key skills that have been searched for, either entrepreneurial or entrepreneurial leadership skills. Next slide. And according to the data obtained from Lightcast, there were 11,851 total job postings for various occupations related to entrepreneurship and entrepreneurial leadership in 2022. And these occupations generally require less than 3 years of prior experience and include the following select skills: entrepreneurial leadership, business administration, business marketing, sales acumen, and operational analytics. And as seen in the previous skills, they really cut across several growing industries. So that's the last slide on the labor market information.
If I could, Shannon, just adding some additional kind of input as well, as Shannon, Dr. McCarty and I, really have been able to set the business case for this entrepreneurship program under really 4 different buckets on the why, right? So economic mobility, we believe that entrepreneurship is a key mechanism for promoting economic mobility. Right, entrepreneurs can create new businesses, right, that gives themselves and their employees that chance to really improve their economic position. As it relates to entrepreneurship skills, as Dr. McCarty has stated, it's really beneficial in also the workplace, as these skills introduce new innovative approaches to solving the most complex business problems. And so they enable individuals to really identify opportunities, take calculated risks, as well as lead personal and professional growth. 2, kind of second justification is that racial wealth gap, right? Of being able to continue the process of being able to impact change as it relates to racial wealth gap. And right, data shows that entrepreneurships create intergenerational wealth as it relates to additional possibilities of building growth in the job market. And so data from the panel survey on the income dynamics really found that, for example, business people of color not only have higher levels of wealth, but also promote more employer diversity as it relates to creating job opportunity. Thirdly, innovation, right? We often think entrepreneurs as inventing totally new products, but in most instances, we also have the opportunity to impact existing businesses as well. And since entrepreneurs think a little differently, they can come up with innovative strategies and develop existing businesses by promoting those entrepreneurship skill sets, right? And so in addition to that, finally, our intention to create the entrepreneurship program supports and advances 2 primary goals of California's Entrepreneurship and Economic Mobility Task Force, which is led by the Governor's Office of Business and Economic Development. There are 2 primary goals for the state of California: is to drive economic mobility through entrepreneurship, and secondly, to diversify the innovation economy. And so we really feel, as Dr. McCarty has stated, this program would substantially be able to impact change in the state of California and provide opportunities for the demographics that we are positioned to support.
Thank you so much. Colleagues, questions or comments regarding this presentation? I have one, and it's, you kind of just mentioned it. Explain to me this in a existing business structures, right? I mean, you kind of just mentioned it, which is, I know it's a different mindset, but I always think of, like, if I'm an entrepreneur, I have found something that does not exist in the marketplace, and so I'm going to build that. So talk a little bit more about, I think it's very interesting that you guys looked at different job listings and saw the skill sets. Can you just talk a little bit more about that?
Absolutely. So the traditional kind of labor market information research speaks to being able to find a job that currently exists and the skills that are required to actually bring that forward. This non-traditional, or what we call kind of emerging entrepreneurship skill sets in general, can impact existing business in the methodology, in the practices that they learn, in promoting both products and services, but also creating new processes and new modes of interaction with customers and the actual company. That's one, to support existing infrastructures. The other is this mindset to say, hey, I already have an idea. I just don't have the foundational skills to be able to move it forward. Dr. McCarty talked about kind of the business acumen, the entrepreneurship leadership. Those skill sets, so important, and unfortunately are not as accessible to startups, to those that don't have a lot of capital funding and access to capital in the form of incubation. Our opportunity here is truly a workforce opportunity as well, right? As it relates to pointing folks to the publicly available resources, but also giving them the understanding, the principles, the practices to help promote both their idea and or their success in the actual workforce. So it is unique, but it's emerging in the state of California. And as we all know, the state of California has really led in this arena. And so we would definitely want to make sure that the demographics we support have access and opportunity.
Can you share an example? Because I'm trying to figure out, I get the idea. But so can you share a story or an example of what that looks like? So I can.
Yes, absolutely. So in the example of an individual that wanted to enter the workforce and work for an entity, small business, medium-sized business, the skill sets that they would gain, right, in terms of entrepreneurship practice, risk mitigation, business acumen, and being able to empower them in their existing kind of work function or a new work function in the actual workforce. So they'll get a series of information as it relates to be able to impact their career trajectory in the workforce. On the entrepreneurship side, maybe startup, maybe have an idea to incubate. This will be a great opportunity to help them manage the expectation of what's going to be needed to actually bring forward a business plan ready to launch the overall company that they're very much desire to definitely do. And so, we look at it as two vantage points. We don't want to, tailor it to where it's only for workforce entry and working for a company or only for startup. We want to have maximum really marketability for the individual that's a part in our program so that they have career success. The immediate example would be an individual comes to a Calbright and they have an idea, right? And they're not as familiar with how to structure both the idea, the opportunity, and actually plan for launch for their company, right? And so they would get some very foundational principles of the why and the what is actually important to be able to put them on a journey for success.
Maybe one more example, just to build on that. Yeah. So when we say like a startup track, yeah, right? It conjures something. Usually startup we think about as like somebody in their garage with 3 computers and 2 guys, and it's maybe a woman now. In our program, we have a great amount of gender diversity in our IT programs. Let's say I have some of the technical skills and I have a choice of what to do with those technical skills. I can either take them and apply for a job at technology company X, or I can think about with my IT support skills, how can I leverage that into my own self-employment opportunity or into additional opportunities for my country, for my community, for my country. For my community. So it's meaningful for us in the communities that we work in particular because that opportunity to be self-employed, to retain the flexibilities that are needed in my life, we're seeing increasingly a necessary part of considerations that folks are navigating as they're seeking income and opportunity. The extension of that is within a community, maybe my entrepreneurship skills and my IT technical skills combine to not just allow me to be self-employed, but to employ also Pam and Bill. And suddenly we are starting enterprises. So I think that's the best illustration that I can give for how it plays out in actual real terms.
So let me tell you what I was visualizing, which I'm visualizing that there are a number of young folks of color who are piecing together pieces of jobs, okay? And they're trying to figure out. So they're doing Uber and they're doing picking up food and they're crafting it, but they're living hand to mouth. And so I see an opportunity for them to sort of, what challenges me is that there are populations, somebody's kid just is making $1 million because he or she has the skills, the tech skills to do X, Y, and Z. And then somebody sees that they have the marketing skills because inherent in their families and in their contacts and relationships, they're able to do that. And then all of a sudden they're stars. Our kids don't. My grandkids don't necessarily. And so, but they're piecing together. And so for them, this would be extremely helpful, given Calbright's structure, to be able to, and I don't know how we market to them, but these are, I'd love to tell one of my grandchildren, you're doing this, this, and this. And if you, and this is how you do a plan. And then this is how you know how much you can get from that plan. And this is what you need to do in order to make more than $50,000 a year in Los Angeles. Because that's, you're damn poor. Okay, so that's a huge group of folks who, and they don't want to go for that, 9 to 5. They may do it temporarily, but they're gonna leave because they're gonna ultimately leave because there's no benefit in staying there for 30 years being a security guard. Okay, so is this for them as well? I guess is the question.
I think I think it absolutely can be. I think the reality is that if we're looking at the way that people are actually experiencing the career journeys in their lives, we are seeing fits, starts, disruptions in ways that no job is fundamentally a secure job that you will have for 30
That's right.
years necessarily.
That's right.
And it's hard for us to confront that reality without saying that the composite of skills that somebody needs to learn and develop over the course of their career is not bifurcated by technical skills or soft skills or in these buckets. But what is going to allow them to have the greatest range of motion in terms of navigating that economic uncertainty, those opportunities that they can either create for themselves or be better positioned to acquire in the market itself.
And these opportunities are, what we've seen models of them being very successful at regional levels, right? And so our approach would be to make sure that it's accessible across the state of California, right? Beyond our pilot, to ensure that the demographics and the communities that you're talking about have that model, right? That opportunity to be able to access. So we absolutely think it would be accessible to the community.
What is going to be important about this one is that when we're talking to students or prospective students about the value of it, we have to be able to be very clear. This is different skills development than leading to a clear job at the end of the road. And that is an important way that we will identify how to most effectively both communicate the value proposition associated with putting the time and energy into
That's
getting
right.
these costs, and also making it relevant to the goals and the plans and the lives that they have. So I think there is something that's going to be important and unique about the way that this program is communicated, but
it's supporting the students that are in this program are going to be a little different than the other programs because of that as well. So
yes, although I will say, yes, but I will say, because I think increasingly what we're seeing is these types of skills are going to be cross-sectional with technical skills, right?
Right.
We're basically kind of breaking apart the construct that has been traditional and historic to workforce education or career technical education, which is singular industry, singular job track. And that's not it's not the way the economy is organized anymore. And so these are all these things, and building these things up also give the breadth of the different programmatic offerings we have at the college to become closer and more aligned with the way that we're seeing the economic market organized.
With that, is there any public comment on this item?
There is no public comment, President Costa.
Great, all right, we'll get back to our regularly scheduled program and move into the action agenda. And we have 4.1. Did you want to present 4.1 and 4.2 together, Dr. McCarthy? Okay, great. We will go with items 4.1 and 4.2, both of which are course outlines of record.
Perfect. All right, and as President Menon stated earlier, these are the 16th and 17th programs that allow us to meet and technically surpass our legislative mandate of 16 new programs. So super excited for these final two. The first of the two programs is the 3D animation and game design, which was highlighted at the November board meeting. And just as a refresher, this program is in response to the California Creative Workforce Act of 2021, or Senate Bill SB 628, which established creative arts workforce development as a state priority. In support of SB 628, the Arts, Media, and Entertainment High Road Training Partnership, AME HRTP, was created and consists of a coalition of key AME stakeholders, including employers. The development of the 3D animation curriculum supports this coalition. During the curriculum development process, we were able to leverage the thought leadership of the California Department of Education and the Brick Foundation Advisory Board members. We ensured our program aligns with industry best practices and the Brick Foundation's posted apprenticeship opportunities. This program also complements similar Calbright curriculum, such as Junior Full Stack Developer and our user experience user interface programs, where the skills and competencies from all programs can be intertwined or stacked to create a student's pathway of choice, ensuring the student is marketable and relevant, especially in this evolving industry. Intertwining competencies, stackable learning opportunities, and customized pathways leads me to the next program, entrepreneurship. And while talking with advisory board members and entrepreneurs, we learned that the skills needed to be a successful entrepreneur includes, but is not limited to, business management, teamwork and leadership, communication and listening, customer service, financial planning, analytical and problem solving, critical thinking, strategic thinking and planning, technical literacy, time management, and organizational planning, not to mention branding, marketing, and networking skills. And as many of you were talking about in the room, these skills probably sound familiar. They really align very closely with what we consider durable or essential workforce skills. And so what you will see in the course outline of records is the intentional development of these skills, preparing students to be successful entrepreneurs. But as Calbright really starts to look ahead, this program represents a more strategic opportunity, which is the ability to unbundle program competencies. So entrepreneurship skills will be a component of Calbright's skill repository, creating more flexibility across workforce domains, improving student choice, and supporting our agility to build and offer relevant programs. As we look to the future student experience, Calbright programs will be built on student career interest and industry skills, allowing students to have a customized experience that prepares them to thrive in the desired career. So all CFRs have been reviewed by Calbright's advisory board councils. They provided both thoughtful feedback on the curriculum and suggestions for improvements. All the suggestions were integrated into the CORs, and our internal curriculum committee has reviewed and approved the final programs. So we are seeking your approval for these 2 program curriculum outline of records.
Great, thank you so much for your presentation. Trustee, any discussion on either of these items? Seeing none, I will see if there's any public comment on items 4.1 or 4.2.
There is no public comment, President Costa.
With that, colleagues, I will entertain a motion in a second.
I'll move. Approve.
I'll second.
All right, so the item before us is a motion to approve items 4.1 and 4.2. With that, can you please call the roll?
Hildegard Aguinaldo.
Aye.
Amy Costa.
Aye.
Tom Epstein.
Aye.
Pam Haynes.
Aye.
Jolena Grande.
Aye.
Bill Rawlings.
Aye.
Motion carries, President Costa.
Wonderful. You're in the hot seat yet again for item 4.3, pardon me, the Career Catalyst Program Agreement.
Wonderful, thank you. Yes, you guys get a lot of me today. So as you all know, Calbright College launched a unique program to provide internship, peer support, and leadership opportunities to current Calbright students. The Experiential Learning and Leadership, or EXLL program, launched in the fall of 2022 and has continued to be its success. During a 6-month time period, the peer tutor supported 491 students during scheduled one-on-ones or drop-in sessions. Calbright will extend the program during 2023-24 for 2 additional cohorts, hiring up to 6 peer tutors and 6 student ambassadors. So we will be able to extend the hours and students supported throughout the EXLL program. In order to facilitate hiring, timekeeping, paying the students, Calbright identified Career Catalyst as the employer record of service, and that enables us to provide paid work experience for students. The Career Catalyst program is utilized by community colleges throughout the state. The Career Catalyst staff will provide onboarding support and facilitate the distribution of stipends and hourly rates for peer mentors and stipends for our student government leaders. The agreement extends the initial 10-month agreement for an additional 1-year term starting July 1st through June 30th, and a total of not to exceed amount of $250,000. So we are seeking board approval for the Career Catalyst Agreement.
Great, thank you. Colleagues, any questions or comments on this item? Seeing none, is there any public comment on item 4.3?
There is no public comment, President Costa.
Move to approve 4.3.
All right, I have a motion and a second. With that, can you please call the roll?
Hildegard Aguinaldo.
Aye.
Amy Costa.
Aye.
Tom Epstein.
Aye.
Pam Haynes.
Aye.
Jolena Grande.
Aye.
Bill Rawlings.
Aye.
Motion carries, President Costa.
Great. Next up is item 4.4, which is the approval of an agreement addendum with CompTIA.
All right. During the last 2 fiscal years, Calbright engaged with the Computer Technology Industry Association, CompTIA, as an educational content technology provider, which supports both our IT support and cybersecurity content on the CompTIA platform. The CompTIA labs and learning content prepare students for the CompTIA A+ and Security Plus certificate exams. And Calbright seeks to continue this engagement with CompTIA. We entered the contract with CompTIA on August 23rd of 2021 for a not to exceed amount of $95,000 to provide students access to CompTIA's instructional content and certification exams as part of both the IT support and cybersecurity programs. During the fall of 2022, Calbright expanded the CompTIA integration to not only include content, but also the hands-on lab simulations. However, the skills gained, these were an additional cost associated with additions of these labs. However, the skills gained by the simulations are vital to student success on the certification exams, as well as for skills attainment. Due to the consistent increase in student enrollment and the addition of lab simulations and the future launch of the Network Plus program, costs for such services will exceed the not to succeed amount in the existing agreement. So through the proposed addendum, Calbright is seeking to extend and expand its engagement with CompTIA Learning Platform for the additional amount of $780,000 through October 31st of 2024, which would bring the total contract amount to $875,000. So we are seeking board approval for the CompTIA extension and additional funds through October of 2024.
Great, thank you so much. Colleagues, any questions or comments on this item? Seeing none, any public comment on this item?
There's no public comment, President Costa.
I'll move 4.4.
All right, I have a motion and a second on this item. Can you please call the roll?
Hildegard Aguinaldo.
Aye.
Amy Costa.
Aye.
Tom Epstein.
Aye.
Pam Haynes.
Aye.
Jolena Grande.
Aye.
Bill Rawlings.
Aye.
Motion carries, President Costa.
Thank you. Next up, we have a new presenter on item 4.5, which is approve a legal services agreement with the law firm of Luzano Smith.
Good afternoon, President Costa and Vice President Aguinaldo and members of the Executive Committee. Leticia Ramirez, General Counsel. As I indicated to the board in January of this year, one of my first priorities was to assess Calbright's current legal needs and issue a request for proposal for special counsel services. This item is a product of that work. We are seeking the board's approval of an agreement with Luzano Smith for a 2-year term with the option to extend for 3 additional 1-year terms with a not to exceed amount of $200,000 per fiscal year. As the committee is aware, prior to me joining Calbright as the first full-time in-house counsel, Calbright relied on the law firm of F3 to provide general counsel and special counsel legal services. As discussed with Calbright's leadership, we will continue to need assistance from outside counsel, given the just general volume of work that we have and also the specialized areas that we need. Also, in the event of litigation, we'd likely rely on outside counsel to represent the college. In April, we issued a request for proposals. We identified 4 very specific practice areas of general law, employment, labor relations, student services and success, and also business and financial affairs. We received 7 proposals from law firms that were all very impressive and qualified. And the evaluation committee reviewed all the proposals, and Lozano Smith received the highest score based on the evaluation criteria. Lozano Smith is a statewide law firm specializing in education law. They serve as general counsel and special counsel to K-12 school districts and community colleges throughout California. They have 113 attorneys, with 20 specifically focused on community colleges. The RFP did state that Calbright retained the right to procure services from other law firms deemed to be qualified under the RFP during the next 2 fiscal years. We have informed the next high scoring law firms, which are Best Krieger and Burke Williams Sorensen, that we may procure legal services from them should we need, should our specific legal needs warrant additional assistance. In sum, staff recommends that the board approve the legal services agreement with Lozano Smith for a 2-year term commencing July 1st, and authorize the general counsel to approve additional amendments for up to 3 additional 1-year terms. And the contract would have a not to exceed amount of $200,000 per fiscal year. This concludes my report, and I can answer any questions you may have.
Thank you so much. Colleagues, any questions on this item? Seeing none, is there? Oh, yes.
Just a quick question. Could you just briefly describe the staffing of our cases based on the 20 or so folks that you identified at the firm in terms of both role and experience at the firm, as well as any other characteristics that may make them interesting candidates for us to work with?
Sure. So I'll start with the lead partner that they have identified in their proposal is Trevin Smith. I'm sorry, Sims, I apologize. And he has a background in labor and employment and represents a number of different community colleges. They also proposed another partner here based in Sacramento who also has labor and employment. For me, particularly, what I found very helpful and a great fit for us as Calbright, they also proposed a senior of counsel and associates. And I've already had like an initial conversation with them about being able to rely on perhaps more senior associates or associates to increase my capacity, right? There is just, at the end of the day, I'm one attorney, there's a lot of staff, there's lots of contracts and lots of research issues. So for where I stand, I thought that they had a deep bench that not only included partners with over 20 years of legal experience, but also that, you know, kind of more junior level of counsel or associates that can really assist on the day-to-day issues. The other thing is, you know, there's always lots of kind of efficiencies that we find. They represent a number of community college districts up here near Sacramento. And when it comes to any changes in the law, we can really rely on them, you know, doing the same work for all the different community college districts. And they were very well versed and familiar with Calbright and had followed kind of our development.
And is this a woman-owned or minority-owned business?
They had, and I apologize, I do not have it, but they did, one of the questions, I can provide that information, but I want to say they had like a significant, let's say 60% of their partners are people of color or women, and did have a lot of diversity. And the lead partner that they proposed, African American.
I move approval.
Let me ask if there's any public comment.
Sure, go ahead.
Any public comment on this item?
There is no public comment.
Great, all right, now we'll go back to you.
I move approval of this item.
Second.
All right, we have a motion at the table. With that, can you please call the roll?
Hildegard Aguinaldo.
Aye.
Amy Costa.
Aye.
Tom Epstein.
Aye.
Cam Haynes.
Oh, well, I.
Jolena Grande.
Aye.
Bill Rawlings.
Aye.
Motion carries. President Costa.
Wonderful, thanks for the presentation. Next up, we have item 4.6, Salesforce products and services for fiscal years 2023 and 2024.
Good afternoon, President Costa, Vice President Aguinaldo, and members of the Board of Trustees Executive Committee. I'm Vivek Vyas, Chief Product Officer of Calbright. And I'm here today to request your approval for an expenditure of an additional $225,000 for Salesforce products and services for fiscal year 23-24 under the existing contract. So to give you some background on this request, Calbright uses a suite of Salesforce products and services for its student information system. We track the entire student journey from pre-enrollment to completion in the student information system, and therefore it serves as a main information hub for all of our staff and faculty across the college. Our popular CRM administration program is also delivered through Salesforce, and therefore the system is accessed by Calbright students enrolled in that program. The board approved the current order for September 2022 Board of Trustees meeting. The term of this contract runs from October 1st, 2022 through June 30th, 2024. And includes licenses and services for a total of $210,000 that were approved by the board in that meeting. However, during the fiscal year 22-23, the college experienced significant growth in student enrollment as well as staff hiring. The costs incurred to serve these constituents has exceeded the projected amounts for fiscal year 22-23 in the current contract, has exhausted the funds previously approved by the board. Because of this, board approval is needed for an increase in the not to exceed amount under the existing contract to ensure that student and staff have the access that they need for Salesforce products and services for the fiscal year 23-24. So this item requests board approval to increase the amount under the current order by an additional $225,000 for the upcoming fiscal year. This will ensure continuity of business services, and also provide additional funds for the licenses held by the college for students and staff. It will give us the flexibility to increase these licenses should it become necessary as the college's Salesforce administration program and the employee constituency continues to grow. So if approved, this amendment will authorize an expenditure of a total of $435,000 under the current Salesforce order form. So with that, I'd like to request approval for $225,000 additional current Salesforce contract for fiscal year 23.
Thank you so much. Colleagues, any questions or comments respecting this item? Seeing none, is there any public comment on this item?
There is no public comment, President Costa.
I'll move item 4.6.
I'll second. All right, with that, we have a motion on the table. Can you please call the roll?
Hildegard Aguinaldo.
Aye.
Amy Costa.
Aye.
Tom Epstein.
Aye.
Pam Haynes.
Aye.
Joanna Grande.
Aye.
And Bill Rawlings.
Aye.
Motion carries. President
Thank you so
Costa.
much.
Thank you.
Next, we are into our information and report section of the agenda, and we will start with item 5.1, our third quarter fiscal year 22-23 financial update, as well as the draft 23-24 annual budget.
Good afternoon, President Costa, Vice President Aguinaldo, and members of the Board of Trustees. I'm here to discuss the third quarter 2023 financial results and the draft 2024 annual budget of Calbright College. Next slide, please. So this agenda for this presentation includes a Q3 2023 financial update, budget presentation and timeline, and then 2023-2024 draft budget, which includes the budget assumptions, the draft budget, and next steps. Next slide, please. So Q3 2023 financial results. Next slide, please. So there were several Calbright initiatives which were reflected in the financial results. Specifically, the initiatives are enrollment has continued to grow. We have more than doubled to 2,300 students as of March 2023, up from 1,000 students a year ago in March 2022. We have increased employee headcounts to support the enrollment growth. This is in roles such as IT and student-facing positions, such as student support specialists. We've also ratified our CSAA contract, and we have reviewed our accounting procedures, and we have established a key partnership. Next slide, please. So these are all trends that are fully shown in the Q3 financial results. This fiscal year 2023 Q3 slide for unrestricted funds shows a slight change from previous formats. I've included the total for the first 3 quarters of the year and our projection for the Q4, resulting in a total 2023 year-end projection. Now, with those fiscal year-end initiatives in mind, the financial results in Q3 include the following. Our headcount has expanded to meet the needs of our growing enrollment. This is shown by increases in the academic and non-academic roles. This trend will continue into Q4. A review of our accounting procedures regarding vacation and sick time benefits yielded that we can accurately project the vacation and sick time accrual during the actual fiscal period. In previous years, this was an adjustment at year end. This review caused our increase in benefits, both to academic and non-academic vacation and sick time accrual increases. An increase you can see when comparing the benefits in both academic and non-academic in Q3 versus Q2. To the right of the Q3 totals is our projection for Q4. The highlights for Q4 include the following: $3.6 billion in funding to result in a year-end balance of $15 million in apportionment. Going down the list, we are, as stated earlier, our ratification of our CSEA agreement has caused our non-academic salaries to increase in Q4. Our non-academic benefits increased due to our CSEA salary increases. And then also our key partnership, which was previously mentioned, caused our operating expenses to be just over $400,000 in Q4. And this is our partnership with UCI. Next slide, please. Next is our restricted funds slide. Starting at the top of Q3, you'll note that approximately $886,000 in miscellaneous revenue is significantly higher than Q2 or Q1. The miscellaneous revenue is really interest income derived from the restricted funds kept with Solano County. The $886,000 represents 2 quarters of interest income since we weren't comfortable recording an estimate in Q2 given the lack of historical data in Q1 and his previous periods. Going further down the expense column in Q3, we anticipated no major change in the restricted non-academic salaries since the growth in headcount was primarily in unrestricted roles, as noted in previous unrestricted slide. Our one-time vacation accrual adjustment, which I spoke of in the earlier slide, appropriately affected both our unrestricted and restricted roles, as noted an increase in Q3 benefits. Another example of our improving accounting procedures is the proper recording of expenses in Fund 11 unrestricted versus Fund 12 restricted or startup funds. I had my department review all charges since the beginning of the fiscal year to identify potential miscoding of expenses, which should have been recorded in Fund 12. We predicted that the adjustment would be significant. The total adjustment was approximately $657,000, which led to the total Q3 operating expenses of approximately $1.5 billion for that line item. Going further to the right, for the projected Q4 results, the highlights include miscellaneous revenue of $369,000, non-academic salaries rising due to the CSEA increases and new hires, operating expenses increasing to $1.9 million due primarily to IT expected contractor payments. Next slide, please. For the combined funds slide, the most interesting column is the year-end projected amounts. As you can note, 2023 year-end projected revenue of $16.6 million, with $22.2 million in expenses, leading to a negative $5.6 million change in that position for the fiscal year end 2023. Next slide, please. Now, our budget presentation and timeline. Next slide, please. So Board Policy 6200, budget presentation. This budget presentation fulfills the main objective of the Board Policy 6200, where the board budget process and timeline are presented to the board. Specifically, the annual budget shall support the college's strategic priorities. The assumptions are presented for board review. The timeline for the annual budget was presented in March of this year. The unrestricted general reserves shall be no less than 2 months worth of operating expenses as recommended by the Chancellor's Office. Any changes in assumptions will be reported to the board in a timely manner, and the budget projections address long-term goals and commitments. Next slide, please. So the Calbright overview slide, Calbright College fiscal year 23-24 annual budget represents the strategic goals for 24 and is based on the explicit assumption of flat annual funding at $15 million and the estimated carryover of one-time funds of $65 million from fiscal year end 2023. The overall budget for fiscal year 23-24 sets ambitious goals to continue the phase of high quality growth. Calbright College continues to implement and refine a robust implementation plan covering January 21 through December 2027. Next slide, please. So this is a review of the budget timeline. If you'll remember, a BOT meeting was held in March to discuss the budget process. The executive team met from March through May regarding the assumptions and the budget amounts. A draft budget for 2024 was finalized last month in May 2023. A draft budget is presented to the BOT today, June 21st. Any BOT adjustments will be included between now and the final presentation to the board on August 23, 2023. Next slide, please. Next is the 2023-2024 draft budget. This budget is aligned with Calbright's strategic plan. First bullet point, add value, benefiting Calbright students, the CCC system, employers, and the state. The next bullet point is we will focus on good jobs. We are preparing learners to secure and succeed in available jobs with career potential in stable or growing industries. The next bullet point is be responsive. We will continue to improve in response to relevant changes in economic conditions, research, policy, workforce needs, and learners' lives. The next bullet point is support the learner. We will design to meet the specific needs of adults without degrees. The next bullet point is advancing equity. We will narrow the opportunity gaps by race, ethnicity, gender, income, and region. And the final bullet strategic point of our strategic vision is to align quality and growth. We will grow enrollment while strengthening outcomes through high quality teaching, learning, and student experience consistent with available resources. Next slide, please. Next are the budget assumptions. There are three major budget assumptions which drove our budget process. We will implement 8 new programs. The launch of the new programs expected to be approximately $1.1 million. We will expand operational capacity. The investment in these new roles will approximate $8.1 million. And our partnerships with new and existing relationships are expected to be approximately $5.3 million. Next slide, please. So implementing 8 new programs, occupational clusters. As part of Calbright's strategic vision, we are launching up to 8 new programs designed specifically to prepare adult learners for good, available jobs. These new programs will fill gaps in the availability and accessibility of high quality, high value training programs for providing working adults with an affordable public alternative. Each program will provide a specific skill set that employers want and which our students can directly apply in the working world. For many students, our programs offer flexibility for different roles within and across industries. This slide shows how our 8 new programs are organized into 5 occupational clusters: computer technology, computer information system, knowledge economy, design innovation, healthcare, and business. The 8 programs that we're launching in fiscal year 2024 are bolded in each cluster. For the computer technology cluster, we have the junior developer and network plus programs. Under the knowledge economy, we have the data analysis and project management programs. For the design innovation cluster, we have the user experience and user interface programs. And for the healthcare, we have the licensed vocational nursing program or LVN program. And finally, for the business center, we have the HR talent acquisition and HR learning and development programs. Next slide, please. Now, expanding operational capacity. Our second major budget assumption centers on our expanding operational capacity. A key component of Calbright's growth is ensuring appropriate staffing levels across all levels of the institutions that we can continue to operate effectively as we expand during the immediate high-quality growth phase, as well as during the remainder of the 7-year startup period with engine in 2027. A critical assumption to serving our expanding student population and their needs is having the people expertise, systems, and technology needed to serve our students. A snapshot of the departments projecting the largest hiring assumptions includes Learning and Instruction Department, which includes 4 department heads, 5 new faculty, and 23 adjuncts. In student success, the majority of new roles are student-facing positions, such as 17 student support specialists and 2 engagement specialists. In IT, the roles support the front and back end systems, as well as integrations for an improved student journey. These roles will support an SIS, or Student Information System, data repository, and a data warehouse for reporting and analytics. For the Research and Data Strategy Department, several roles are budgeted to lead Callbright into new innovative teaching models, support grant attainment, and assist develop new research projects. Next slide, please. Workforce partnerships existing and new. Our final budget assumptions slide discusses the bulk of our expenditures into existing and new workforce partnerships. These partnerships will focus on creating and expanding relationships with employers and industry. We will also identify potential opportunities to launch new high-quality programs that are responsive to adult earners and the labor market in key regions of the state. We are meeting with economic development leaders statewide and in critical regions and explore where and how Callbright can best add value now and over the next several years. On the left side of the slide, the programs typically follow students complete flexible pace programs. Callbright connects students with paid opportunities. And this results in two goals. One, employers can invest in underserved individuals. And two, employees can get a position in industry or role that they've trained for. And on the right side of the slide, our partnership goals include expanding relationships and identify new opportunities and innovate to increase equitable access to good jobs. Next slide, please. Now, here's the fiscal 23-24 draft budget. State revenues are constant at $15 million. We have updated the local revenues, which represent interest income, on the roughly $75 million held with Solano County. Going further down the expenditures, the academic and non-academic tolls reflect the increases in staffing mentioned earlier in this presentation. Benefit tolls are a result of the employer contributions due to statutory requirements, CalPERS, CalSTRS, Social Security payments for the applicable employees. The other operating expenses and services are comprised largely of consultants, legal, and contracts. Capital outlays comprise of two major factors: facilities and related regional offices, and student computer equipment and software. The budget numbers reflect the various initiatives mentioned earlier in the presentation. At the bottom of the slide, you'll notice that we have 5.3 months of expense reserves. The Chancellor Office recommends a minimum of 2 months of unrestricted reserves for expenses. Next slide, please. So this slide shows the percentage breakout of the operating expenses categorization per the Chancellor's Office defined categories. The largest percentage is the other operating expenses at 35%. The second major expense is the salaries compensation of 35%, broken out between classified at 12%, academic at 11%, management at 11%, and confidential at 1%. The remaining expenses are employee benefits at 15% and capital outlay at 14%. Next slide, please. Now, what this slide shows is we looked at things slightly differently. Now, if we included student-facing roles such as faculty, student support specialists, counselors, IT help desk personnel, et cetera, categorized as academic salaries, then based on this interpretation, the academic salaries increases to 21% versus the 11% in the previous slide. Next slide, please. So next steps are staff will continue to refine the 23-24 draft budget and present for final approval. Staff will close the books for 22-23 and submit the year-end expenditures report to the Chancellor's Office. Final budget will be for approval and public hearing at the August Board of Trustees meeting. And staff will continue to work with Callbright auditors for the 22-23 audit by August 2023. Next slide, please. So questions?
So much. Colleagues, questions, comments?
So I really appreciate, I think that you kind of threw me when you mentioned the policy, and then because the Chancellor's office basically recommends 2 months. If you're smart, you never go with just 2 months. So I'm really glad we're smart enough to know. But what I guess I want to know about that 5.5 is where those dollars are coming from. Are they coming from sort of the one-time dollars? How is that? What pots are they coming out?
So yes, actually not the one time, but the ongoing funds.
Okay,
So it's for the unrestricted piece of the calculation. We have the unrestricted and restricted. It's definitely the Chancellor's Office recommends for the unrestricted portion of our monies.
all right, so let's just say that we actually go into a recession. Besides that 5.5 months, are there other unrestricted dollars? Let's say that it extends beyond the 5.5 months. I'm privy to the last one, it did go a lot longer than that. Are there other unrestricted dollars that we can go into in order to keep our computers on?
Well, as you know, we have the ability, we have the Fund 11, which is ongoing funds, and Fund 12, which is our one-time funds. We were given a broad, we're given a lot of flexibility in regards to what technically we could draw upon. With the Fund 12 or one-time funds, we have the ability to tap into other potential sources of funds within Fund 12 to meet those potential issues if our 5.3 months runs out. According to the budget perspective, and when Fulbright was first initiated, we were given broad flexibility for things such as our ongoing expenses, our personnel. So to answer your question, we could potentially tap into those startup funds.
So you don't have to answer this question now, but it is an answer that I'd like to know. One, the goal is to try not to lay off anyone. That's the goal, to keep the doors open and not to do that. So the question I have is, given that the restricted dollars, because I know we have a lot of flexibility, where would that get us? Would that get us 3 months? Would it get us 4 months? Would it get us? And you don't have, like I said, I'm just, we're in uncharted times relative to the economy sometimes. And so now I'm hoping that we don't dip into a recession. That's the goal. But I'd like to know beyond the restricted dollars, what kind of capacity do we have to keep the doors open, to limit?
That's a great question. Basically, we can do a rough calculation of what our remaining unrestricted funds are, and based on what our burn rate or what our actual expenses are per month, I envision it being at least a year in regards to our ability to fund our operations. Because we're given we have that Fund 12 amount, and given what our burn rate is, I could definitely see the amount being at least 1 year in regards to on top of the 5.3 months.
Thank you.
Can I also say, I think what's important about that too, maybe the yes and to that is, when you start tapping into the situation where fundamentally the fiscal conditions are changing around on the ground, and we anticipate changes in the overall revenue picture for us. I think that is we're moving into the hiring space fairly responsibly, and in accordance with the stage of development within the level of enrollments that we're trying to sustain at the time. We might have to revisit those assumptions in conditions of an economic downturn, of course. And so I think, there is both the availability of the funds, but I think more importantly, the question is during that time that will require us to come back to the board and discuss what would be appropriate to rethink and to reprioritize given the fixed funding situation.
And I think that there's a different, obviously, other community college districts are funded in a very different way. We don't have the benefit of some of that. So and we don't have the benefit of buildings relative to mortgaging them or whatever one would do. And so I think it's helpful to know. I mean, our money is actually spent relative to infrastructure that And so they can't mortgage those
No,
the same way.
The net impact for us it would impact our ability to grow and to scale.
Right.
So that there's a negative impact on the potential benefit to prospective students and the reach and support, especially in an economic downturn that would be required in some of the communities. So what cuts to Calbright hurts is the opportunity to support learners in a way that we supporting them when there's no other opportunity or recourse for them. It's a slightly different scenario in terms of a loss scenario than a fixed established institution with fixed established costs, and then you start to entertain the situations of layoffs and looking at what is happening to folks on the personnel side. So I think part of the acting in a fiscally responsible manner requires us to continue to evaluate and monitor the progression of our growth, and how that cost structure is evolving in our startup phase to make sure that we're doing so in a way that doesn't put us on an unsustainable path. Thank you.
Tom, did you have a question?
I'm gonna
Okay, I want to just commend you on the first part of your presentation, which is you're really doing work to make sure that the funds are appropriately coded. And I think that you have a lot of data that is helping with our budget projections. And so thank you to you and your team for doing that. My second point is actually kind of our action items, and I think it's difficult from a budgeting standpoint, which is our expenses are sometimes hard to know as we scale. And so as you're building our next fiscal year budget, I think it would be helpful to have an analysis on, for lack of a better term, a little bit of contract cushion for scalability. And some of those things are unknown until we actually begin those programs. But it is something that's happened. I think it's perfectly reasonable because we are still scaling. But I do think, we may need a separate line item for kind of those growing pains, for lack of a better term. And really they are what I would categorize as a good problem to have. They are that we have to align our contracts to our increased enrollment and workforce, all which are good things that happen at scale. But I do think that's something that, at least in the immediate term, we might need to address as we continue to scale and build these programs and ourselves as an institution.
We can certainly maybe take back the note of thinking about how to convey the information to the board, with and to give the board a better sense of like what we're understanding about cost structures. For example, with the launch of several new programs, we'll have a bit more of a steady state figure on the cost of new programs, and so giving an understanding of the considerations that are refining our cost assumptions in the long run, I think is a great addition to the conversation.
Yeah, and I would just put a finer point on the recessionary scenario, which unfortunately I am familiar with. We have a very high support model. And so if we do get to that juncture, it will be a difficult conversation for all of us to have. The red box is only so big and things will have to be adjusted accordingly. And you can kind of see in our expenditures that much of our resources, and rightly so, are really rooted in student-facing activities. And so, I think, yes, it's a calculation of like length of time, but there are other really complex calculations we'd be faced with, as a board in this institution. With that, any public comments on this item?
There is no public comment, President Costa.
Great, thank you so much. Next, we have our standing item on reports and contracts and purchases.
Thank you, President Costa. We have 4 contracts totaling $647,350, and our purchases for the month of May total $250,396.
Colleagues, any questions or comments on the contracts and purchases? See if there is any public comment on this.
There's no public comment, President Costa.
Thank you. With that, I understand we actually do not have any constituency group reports today, which will lead me to the public forum. Are there any members of the public that wish to be heard?
There's no public comment, President Costa.
All right, with that, the business of the Board of Trustees Executive Committee is now complete and we can adjourn. Thank you for your participation.
It's all right.
A reminder, that was, we were behind.